I'd rather create something that others criticize than create nothing and criticize others.
If you have high quality product behind the bar, it's like a weapon.
It's not about the figures, it's about who those figures are.
The Hospodpreneurs Podcast.
I'm going to drink this beer.
Yeah, let's crack them.
With James Henderson. For our second duo to be interviewed on the show, Brendan Leeds and Tipu Sultan, the founders of Clipboard, a LinkedIn for hospitality, hosted us in Melbourne at their office in Pran. By connecting a fragmented industry and demonstrating to the business world that the industry should be taken seriously, these guys are doing great things for us. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the resources that they have to share. Hello and welcome to the show, Brendan and Tipu.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, yeah.
No worries at all, guys. No worries at all. Well, this is actually the second episode we've done as a group. We did Alex and Tyler a few episodes ago, and now with the gentleman here, I'm in Melbourne. And guys, tell us, just before we get into it, tell us a bit about where we are.
Currently sitting in Clipboard Hostality's HQ down here on Commercial Road. This is sort of the heart and soul of our new platform we launched 2.5 months ago, which is all around a professional networking platform to change the perception that the hospitality industry is an identifiable career choice. So we've just launched this brand new revolutionary platform to take out to the hospitality community and see if we can evolve this industry.
Obviously it's fresh, it's new, we're going to delve into that later on in the episode. There's a lot more content around the macro side, the micro, what you're actually doing and what you're doing with the brand, maybe where you want to go. Before we get into that, my first question is, what is your crazy hospitality story? Would you like to answer it first?
I'll take this one since Tipu is more on the IT side. So I've been in hospitality for coming to 15 years now, and straight out of high school I had my very first job as a waiter, and I won't mention the establishment of that, actually I don't think it exists anymore, here in Melbourne. And I remember, knew nothing about hospitality, nothing about the systems, anything about it, and I put a wrong order through, and the head chef at the time, it was during a Friday night busy service, decided to call me across to the pass and demonstrated what she would do if I made a mistake again, and it was, she ended up launching a knife across the kitchen into the wall, and that put the fear of God into me, and I never made a mistake since from then. So I was a bit shocked in my first thing, but I think that was probably the old school way kitchens used to work back then.
That is very violent.
Yes.
Can you top that, Tipu?
I don't think so. No. I was always in IT, but I was always on the other side, the recipient side of the hospitality. So I've never had any issues or any bad experience.
Maybe anything when you've been a patron in a bar?
Not dramatically, but you see there's normal things, people are getting kicked out and those sort of things.
Yes.
But nothing as dramatic as Brendan, that's for sure.
Procedure.
It's standard, yeah.
Guys, I want to ask you why you do what you do. And if you're doing something differently, do you have different whys behind why?
It's funny because we come from different worlds. Obviously my background being hospitality and Tipu being in IT. Which is probably why I make a really great team. So the whole reason why Clipboard came about was this passion and this drive to really see this industry be known as a professional industry. And I don't mean that we're not a professional industry, but the perception out there that we are a part-time, a fragmented or transitional industry has always been a massive motivator for myself. Being, I said, in hospitality 15 years, I was always challenged by those around me to go out and get my real job, which was probably the great motivation for me to go to start my own business and to move and progress in this industry. And even today, I see parents or other people trying to influence the younger generation not to be a part of this wonderful industry. And I'm proof myself and many other of your guests who've been on the show before and other people I speak to can really demonstrate how abundant we are in creativity, in passion, in talent, in success. And that's probably why the core values of Clipboard Hospitality really exist. And having someone like Tipu, who actually brought the idea to us, to see that as well and to be a part of that from a whole different industry has really been a blessing in disguise moving this forward.
Yes. Why do you do what you do, Tipu?
Well, I'll tell you why. Okay, my background is IT. You look at TVs and those sort of things, what do you see? You see MasterChef or My Kitchen Rule and those sort of things. So it's all about hospitality. Have you ever seen a show saying that, we'll promote IT or something like that? So obviously there's passion behind that. Obviously the people are really driven for this industry. So like Brendan said, that if there isn't anything which actually talk or acknowledge about what people are doing in this industry. It's always about like, okay, I'm happy that I went there, had a meal, but have you ever asked the waiter who served you, like, how was the day, or nothing like that? Never like that.
So I suppose celebrating the people and the business
definitely.
in this industry, and who probably don't get enough recognition for the work and talent they put into it.
Yes.
Totally.
So what I'd really like to know now is what you're building. Tell us a bit about Clipboard and what you guys are actually building.
Clipboard Hospitality is a centralised professional networking hub with a primary focus of connecting the industry. And what I mean by connecting is whether it's connecting like-minded individuals to other individuals in the workforce, businesses to the workforce or people, business to other businesses. We really want to focus on this connecting of this industry. And I suppose how we do that is through our platform. We allow you to do 4 things in the first phase. And we've got this platform is over 4 phases. And we've recently launched phase 1, and it's all around a people-centric focus, and allows our members to be able to grow a professional network, and like I said, connecting with like-minded individuals or businesses, create a dynamic profile, and showcase a professional brand, which a written resume can't do. So we allow you to post videos, pictures, articles, anything that really allows you to showcase your talent and your passion for this industry. And I suppose the final point is then really connecting all those things via a job placement portal. So people who want to find new career opportunities, or business who want to find their next rockstar staff. Mm-hmm. And then also, once that happens, being able to have a centralized communication tool to be able to connect with your staff. So the whole focus of Clipboard is around that connecting and really being able to showcase a professional brand that gives you identity in this industry.
Yes. So it's kind of like Instagram meets LinkedIn meets the hospitality industry.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah?
It's probably the best way to describe it.
Awesome. How did you guys come to do what you're doing now?
I guess this idea evolved from, I'm going to give you an IT example, and then I'll try to reflect that to hospitality. See, that's work. I think that will make sense. I worked in projects and we hired people from India or all over the world simply because their skill sets, particular things they can do. For you or for anyone who wanted to open, let's say, a contemporary Japanese restaurant, you can open that restaurant, but where do you find a chef? So the whole concept came from take the Clipboard to worldwide so that people connect with everyone, anyone, and then things can happen. I've been to Dubai and I went to a sushi restaurant in Dubai. I mean, what are the chances in a country like that? So if that can happen, there are room to do that.
Yes.
It's all about the whole connectivity. Yeah, of course, at the moment it's nationwide, Australia, but gradually when Clipboard spread around the world, that will be possible.
And you're not from Australia, Tipu,
I'm
so
not,
we can hear that.
Yes.
Where are you from, and has that cultural background influenced your perspective on the industry?
Oh, well, I was born in Bangladesh, but I came here to finish my degree, and then obviously I stayed here, and this is my country now. The whole cultural background would be the same everywhere, anywhere I went. It's that hospitality is such a versatile industry, but never recognized that manner. That, okay, it's rewarding. It's always like interim. Okay, I'm working here and then I'm gonna find something. But it's not that anymore. It's a rewarding industry, and this is why we wanted to show people that it is rewarding.
Yes. How did you come to do what you're doing now, Brendan?
I started in hospitality as a waiter, as a part-time job while I was doing my degree, and fell in love with food and wine, and more importantly, people. But I knew at a very young age that I always wanted my own business. Coming from a family that had its own business and being successful in other businesses, I always wanted something that had my name to it. Didn't matter what it was. It didn't matter if it was a restaurant, a paint shop, a cleaning business, a marketing business. I always wanted something that had my name on it. And I just happened to fall in love with hospitality at the age of 18. And I really fell in love with the whole mechanics behind the people development. And hospitality allowed me to travel around the world, live overseas, set up different venues, and eventually my own venue. So I sort of fell into it for a love of people, and then experience different taste palettes and different flavours, and actually met my wife through my job. So it just became my world. And I would have no regrets in joining this industry, because it's allowed me to do so many great things and have time to invest in people and to invest in those around me. And this is where I suppose the basis for Clipboard has come from.
Yes. If we go back to Clipboard, so we follow that sort of thread. When we've caught up previously and you mentioned connecting a fragmented industry, tell us a bit more about how Clipboard does that.
I suppose we're in a weird, exciting time of hospitality where you have all these young millennials and entrepreneurs coming through, whereas at the same time having the generation that sort of set the foundations for where hospitality is now, and especially in Australia. But we are a fragmented industry in the sense that is very transitional. For the hospitality and tourism industry, which employs over 1 million people, half of those people would be considered professionals in the hospitality industry, whereas the other half would be more casual or part-timers. And it's always been seen as a segue while you're studying university or doing something else as an intern to earn a bit of cash on the side as a part-time job. We believe this industry is far more than just that transitional period. You look at, especially the restaurants here in Australia, we have the best people, the best restaurants, the best produce. We have young, exciting entrepreneurs opening up, really unique and different and pushing the status quo of this industry. I beg to anyone to tell me that we're not a professional industry and that we're not an identifiable career choice. And I think Clipboard allows the market or the people and businesses to really showcase that talent and that skill set and that passion in a way that's not just for a social mechanism, but more for a professional mechanism, and really impact on the culture that the hospitality industry has.
And just leveling it up, making people see that hospitality is a professional industry and taking it seriously, right? Making people aware that it's an identifiable career choice.
And that's probably the biggest challenge that our industry faces, besides the skill sets, and the wage problem and things like the retaining of quality staff. They're all a result because this perception is out there that we're not an identifiable career choice.
Yes.
Can I just add one? Brendan Leeds is one of the biggest example because the way he started from there to now here, I guess that's one of the biggest things, that we are partners because we believe in this whole idea.
It's evolving what's currently happening now, taking it to a national and global scale, and creating a medium for the hospitality industry to really showcase this talent and this passion.
Tell us about what you're learning about or exploring at the moment, Tipu.
What we are learning at the moment that people, fortunately young generation or our generation or people who works in the hospitality at the moment, they are quite open-minded. So they are willing to give it a go. So no one is saying anything negative. It's just that I work so hard, I'm tired, but I'll see what I can do. Those sort of mentality. But I guess gradually when the value, the vision that we have, it's out there, people will accept it more and take the time to use and utilize this platform to actually for their own benefit. That's what we are learning also simultaneously. The feedback we're receiving, we are improving the platform every day. We're trying to make it as useful as possible for everyone. So time-poor people can still use that. They can. And it's just a matter of getting to that idea, what is the concept and what we are trying to achieve.
How about you, Brendan? What is it that you're learning about or exploring right now?
Oh, well, being a hospitality man, I'm used to dealing with chefs and coffee and alcohol. I've never had to deal with technology before. So I have learned a lot about the tech game. It's a fascinating world. It's a challenging world, talking in codes and scopes and things like that.
Yeah.
So I've had to learn very quickly how to understand and be able to dissect it all and make the right decisions. Also being a startup in a relatively new area, and like Tipu said before, we're evolving. We are a new platform and we're evolving it. So it's learning that your great idea that you think you have, which you think is going to help change or revolutionize the industry, and you think it's going to happen overnight, takes a lot more time. So I'm learning a lot about being resilient and putting myself out there and working with an array of different people, which is fantastic. Whether this succeeds or doesn't, I think we have enjoyed the journey so far and have learned a lot about each other and about the business and how to, see something that was an idea to now having, over 200 users on board in 2 months and really seeing it come to life. So just learning how to be patient and to be adaptable to what the feedback's out there, especially in the hospitality tech sort of world.
That space, the tech, the startup scene, the business world, obviously, these are massive, massive things that we're talking about. And in the hospitality industry, that connection isn't always made clear. And so that's something that I try to bring across from the show, is to take out these concepts from the startup world, the business world, technology, marketing, into hospitality. What resources are you guys relying on to learn more about the industry and the things, your respective things that you're trying to learn about? If you're learning about the startup world, what sort of books are you reading, or listening to audiobooks, or what are you consuming?
Yeah, all of those things. Currently, I used to have my favourite playlist playing in the car. Now it's all around tech startup podcasts or entrepreneur podcasts like yourself.
Definitely podcasts.
I suppose the number one person I learned from is Tipu from the IT side. I've learned a lot from him and his experience. In terms of startups, anything from Simon Sinek about the whole why behind a business to I go through Inc.com, which has a lot of great things on there from a business point of view. Done a little research on obviously Steve Jobs and obviously the Facebook groups and all how these things start. Probably the most important one I really look at is Richard Branson and his entrepreneurial skills.
Yep.
And then just friends and family and mentors within the industry or in business. We've been very fortunate enough to sit in front of some great business people, and all these meetings have been an opportunity to learn something different. Highly successful entrepreneurs who started from nothing or failed multiple times in their quest to build something. And I'm a big believer in finding opportunity in everything. Even sitting with yourself, there's an opportunity to learn something.
Absolutely.
And I think we have that mentality wherever we go, and that's what is great about being in a startup. You're constantly surrounded by people who you can take things away from, and you might not succeed, but you still gain that opportunity to learn.
Well, I think for both of us, self-motivation is a big thing. It's a startup, obviously there's a lot of ups and downs. Every day we face those. We motivate ourselves, we motivate each other. I believe that's what comes out, the best comes out that way, when we actually encourage each other. So,
but the resources that you're consuming, what is it that you're
a lot
taking
of obviously technology. We got a team behind us who are helping us. Then we have marketing people who are helping us. We got friends, really good friends who've done startup. They're based in America. We are constantly in touch with them, emails, ups and downs, and we do have a great advisory board who are advising us properly. These guys are really experienced. These guys have done that. We have one of the best guy in the industry, Neil Wilson, who has done his company and then ASX listed, sold it, and those sort of. So he's very much entrepreneurial and mentor.
What innovations or innovative techniques have you seen in the industry?
If you look at the innovation around businesses attracting more consumers, things like Dimmy or Open Table, from point of sale systems to online ordering and rostering to even through your influencers and marketing channels, hospitality tech is really exciting at the moment. It's challenging because you have a traditional way of doing business. Some of the ways out there aren't so embracive to technology. You look at the reservation systems out there now, it's amazing the data you can collect. And I would probably think that majority of businesses don't really tap into that data. But even when it comes to cooking styles, we spoke earlier about Heston and Ryan Cleft and these revolutionary guys coming out with different ways to use technology to produce amazing meals, and even in the bartending scene. So it's great to see the forward thinking in this industry. I hope it gets more embraced a lot more and actually gets to be utilised a lot more and showcased a lot more than is now. So there's some great innovative things out there at the moment that are great for businesses to be able to make better decisions, being a business owner, and to also to promote your brand to the general public.
Just for listeners as well, before the show was when we were talking about these innovative techniques from people like Heston, etc. From what I've seen, and I know that there's a term for this in the tech world, but it's escaping me at the moment. You have all these minor innovations from a technical standpoint within the industry, and then there's generally like a big tech thing that comes through. It's like bam, and it all just jumps up. So like we can do all these things with food and new techniques and all these things play around, and then a new technology comes in and it goes poof, and then we can all jump up. It all elevates really quickly, and that's where opportunity exists to take advantage of those things. What you mentioned there is those two things. One is with say DIMI and reservation systems, the technology is coming through and it just filters through everything. The other one is sort of the ground floor. How can this particular meal be presented differently or in a different way? And I know that there are new technologies even around that presentation or the processing of certain things to create that meal. What changes do you want to see take place in the industry?
The whole industry, we are very tech savvy, so we all know how to use the technology and everything.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so, no. I disagree. I don't think people know how to use the technology.
Well, they know how to use Facebook, right?
Yes.
So you think in a social aspect, the behaviours.
What we have created is not that different from anything. It's just a very precisely designed for an industry that if you know how to use other things, you can use this platform. You can actually progress your career accordingly. Obviously, we are trying to make some changes in this industry. So that's what we wanted to see, the change, the trend.
What do you think, Brendan?
Yeah, I think the evolution in this industry is on its doorstep now, but it's calling for something to evolve it in a new and exciting way. To go back to the point about the technology side of things, yeah, I agree. We are so far behind in technology with how we use it in hospitality and the benefits from it. I think from a social point of view, yes, we all understand the behaviours because Facebook and Instagram and all that are a part of our life now. It's you know, my 2.5-year-old daughter knows how to use an iPad without any training. It's amazing how technology is evolving. But I think for hospitality specifically, we are still gun shy to really embrace it and how it's going to benefit us, whether from a career perspective, a branding perspective, marketing, even just a connecting perspective. It's going to take some time, but to educate users or to educate the workforce and the business out there to technology is your friend more so than your foe. And that's what's really exciting about this space at the moment. So we're talking about before the show, a great sort of dynamic between old school and new school. It's a really exciting time for this industry, and I want to see that change, that leap, that evolution to take what we're doing now, but then put it in a way where it's global and it's easily accessible to those out there.
What changes do you guys want to see take place in the industry?
For me, it is that perception. I would love to see this industry be recognised as an identifiable career choice. This is the whole reason why we started this story of this fragmentation and transitional industry with such an accelerated growth happening as well. It's quite unique. It's one of the top 5 super growth industries in Australia, and we're still perceived as an unprofessional or an unidentifiable career choice. That baffles me, and I would love for high school kids to come out and say, yep, I'm going to be a chef. You know what? I'm going to be an entrepreneur and own my own restaurant. I'm going to start the biggest new hotel chain. Or I'm going to go into food science and learn how to make our kids more nutritious or something where it is an industry that is on the forefront of your career choice, which I think it has the ability to do. I think that long gone are the days of the 90-hour hard slavery, which job isn't hard working. You know, everyone's got long hours of hard work. But the fact that you get to travel the world with hospitality, the fact that you get to meet an abundance of people, the fact that there are new venues opening up every week, the fact that there's now cooking shows about it, and you look at all this, it is such a great industry to be a part of. I would love to see it have more of a focus and focal point to being an identifiable career choice.
So when you're developing your product, obviously it's a very creative process. How do you guys go about, firstly, coming up with an idea, and then how do you entertain that idea, and then how do you execute that idea? So that's a massive question, right?
Lots of nights of red wine and whiskies and
that's cool. If that's how you do it, I want to know what is it that gets you into a creative state?
The process that we've taken is that we had an idea, and then we were close to the industry. Fortunately, Brendan works in the industry, he knows, and then we built a prototype. We took that prototype to the industry, to our friends and families or people who works in the industry that we know, and then more refine other product we have, which we are quite confident that this is meeting the need of the industry. How do we do that? As Brendan says, like a lot of wine and whiskey.
No, I think you just got to take a chance and have a go. I'm a big believer in just having a go at anything. And like for us, you know, we have other, we work on this full time, but at the same time having other businesses or other careers and families, and And so you've got to have a real passion for what you do it takes you away from everything else. We spent a lot of time together. We've made a lot of mistakes.
We did.
It's just been a real passion for doing something you believe in. If you can do that and meet the right people, I suppose the second thing, so the last thing I want to say that is surround yourself with the right people. Yeah. We went out and got an advisory board together and surround ourselves with people who have different skill sets to ours, which has really helped us develop and learn a lot. So I think that's probably the key message for us, is that find people around you with the same passion and vision who have different skill sets,
Yes.
and you can bounce ideas off of them.
There are a lot of valuable factors. And your environment is one of them. We have digressed from the question though. I want to go back to that, which is like, how do you get into a creative state to then entertain that and then execute? So you mentioned whiskey and wine, that's totally fine. But then how do you sit with that idea and play with it? So how do you entertain that idea once you have it?
You look what's out there, and if you're in a creative space, you always try and find the next new thing to evolve what you're doing and to challenge yourself to do something different. When this was brought up, it started off as something really basic and really small in terms of being a job platform. And then it was about 6 months of capturing the attention of what it potentially could be. This is dream big. You know, what else could this really turn into? It has to stem from something more than just a business need. We went back and forth saying, we're going to change the game. For us to really have a good crack at this platform and that what we're trying to do, we had to aim that high.
When you're entertaining that idea, I suppose what you're describing is that you're getting to a larger concept or a vision of what it could be.
Yeah, and
that's interesting.
And you research things like the Facebook story or Apple story. So you pull from all these directions. And we had many nights with a blank whiteboard up there, doing mind maps on different aspects, trying to find our MVP, trying to find what's the core value of this. And
for those who don't know, MVP is minimum viable product.
Yes, and thank you for that. So yeah, I learned that about last year as well. So it's been a journey of spitballing ideas and trying to find that wow factor. Even to this day, we get asked, what is our wow factor? And it's a great question to ask us because it then pushes us to be innovative. And I suppose ask the question, why can't it be done? And that's the learning I'm doing with the tech world at the moment. I see things in a logical pattern and I want something done on a screen that I think is pretty easy to do, but it's quite hard to do from a tech point of view. But pushing that boundary, why can't we do that? Because who's preventing us from doing it?
Exactly. And I love that the question is around creativity, that particular question around creativity and the macro concepts, ideas, questions, thinking as big as you possibly can. What you described there about wanting to put something onto the screen is a common problem in tech, but not just tech. If we think about just wanting to convey ideas, it's all a form of creative expression. They're all different mediums to express our ideas, whether it's language or music or technology or business or food, exactly. So they're all just ways to express our ideas. We need to have a balance of thinking in a macro way being in this creative state, but also understanding enough about the technical medium that we're using to express those ideas. If we don't know enough about it, we should go partner with someone who does.
Exactly right.
And that's what you guys have done. Together, you've been able to create something, which is the common combination with tech founders, is that you've got a macro creative thinker and an executing technical person as well. And you have to both be visionaries in a way, but there's generally like a marketing head and a technical head. And that's generally the way that it works. And that's exactly what you guys have done. So it's funny to see a little stereotype play out. It's funny.
We would have thought of ourselves in that way. Like, it's amazing how you've painted that picture for us. And like, I never used to think I was a creative person. I'm a very strategic and logical person, and doing Clipboard, it's allowed me to enter a space that I never knew I had. It's amazing. Like, I'm still learning and still haven't got all the ideas, but just ideas and finding ideas from other avenues has been fantastic. People we speak to about this who have no affiliation with us, and we're not trying to coerce them to be a part of it, just go, and we'll just blurt out ideas for us. It's amazing how something, when you dream big and have this vision, how it embraces those around you. And that's been the fun and exciting creative part for me, the fact I get to bounce these ideas off anyone. in this industry and hopefully change something as well. So
Yes.
it's a really, I think if you dream big and just have a crack at it, so whether it succeeds or not, we'll find out in the near future, but it's an exciting way to take you out of your comfort zone. And
Yes.
that's before how you entertain and execute, being out of a comfort zone. Being in a tech business, not knowing anything, has forced me to learn and forced me to try something different, and I will never take that back.
But being in that space offers other opportunities as well, especially being from a different industry. Because when you're from one industry and you're placed in another, you're forced to use what you know in that other industry.
Very true.
Which actually provides many more opportunities as well. This is an analogy I'm coming up with off the cuff here, but you're sort of in a pool floundering and you're kind of clinging to whatever you can cling to stay afloat, and then hopefully you do, because you're clinging to the side of the pool. You're like, okay, I'm good now, I'm good, I know that thing, and then you become better at swimming in this pool, right? I hope that analogy works, but, bear with me. But I've got another question for you guys. I'm particularly interested in this because for those of you who are listening at home, who've been listening for a while, you'd know that I started a tech company in 2013 that ended up failing. So I'd like to know how you guys have gone about selling, because from the perspective of a tech business that's starting out, people don't know who you are or what you're all about, and you've got to approach businesses and go, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we're selling. Whether you're a tech business or any other, you still have to sell something from ground zero when no one knows about it. So how did you guys go about negotiating that?
You made a great comment about the why. We are big believers in expressing why we do what we do and why Clipboard exists. We tried to, at the beginning, in the first month of our launch, really express the benefits of Clipboard. And it worked to a degree, like how we save time and money and how we're putting everything to one platform. But it wasn't really until we showcasing why we exist that we really got traction. And by traction, we define that as not just how many users or businesses we have on the platform, but the people we're connecting with and being put in front of. And the minute we talk about why we exist and how we intend to execute it over our vision of 4 phases, it really gets people excited. And we also receive really excellent and constructive feedback about it. So without any sort of marketing budget or spending a lot of money, we've developed this platform to take to the industry and really demonstrate how it can aid in this fragmented market. Being the first of its kind in the world, you mentioned before about taking fragments of Facebook, LinkedIn, those sort of other businesses. Nowhere else in the world has the ability to do what Clipboard does currently in showcasing the talent and the passion of the industry. What I mean by talent is that showcasing your professional brand and being industry specific. That's probably the key to us, that we're industry specific, and it's aimed at the people who work within the industry, not the general public so much. To answer your question from the beginning, the why we exist has been the biggest selling point for us.
Simon Sinek would be very proud.
Oh, he's someone that I use with my staff. Now it's just I'm fascinated by how, like, you look at Apple and how they, their why was, I think he's mentioned in that, to change the status quo, and how the flow. It's just amazing, and it works though. If you can have an emotional attachment to a product or a platform, which is what we want. For us to succeed, we need the hospitality community and world to want to change what's currently happening.
Yes.
If they don't want to change, we're in big trouble. But we feel there's a need to change and a need to evolve, and we believe that it's going to take the hospitality community to jump on board and keep challenging what we're doing, evolving what we're doing, and helping us identify us or give us an identity in a professional state. That's probably the best way that we have gone out and sold this platform or marketed this platform without any, like I said, no marketing budget, things like that.
Say there's a listener at home, they want to start, maybe not just a tech business, but a hospitality business. Maybe they want to start a venue. How would you advise them to go about starting?
Finding the why factor. It's one of the key things.
Start with why.
Start with why. Why do you want to do this? Or why it's needed and those sort of things. So when you found an answer that you are happy with, you can actually convince other people that this is why you need this. And we found that answer. This is why we want to do this. It's all about people. It's all about hospitality. It's all about the people who works in hospital. We go to a restaurant, we eat food, we enjoy the food, How many times we go and thank you to a chef, said that, you know what, you've done a really good job. I enjoy that food. We don't do that. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about people who work.
The having a vision, I said I've always wanted to have my own business. Didn't care what the business was. So I think if you have a vision of what you want to achieve, and it doesn't need to be a career life and a personal life. They should be one and the same. Once you have a vision and then you know how to achieve that vision, you will get it. And if you don't know how to achieve it, find people who can help you achieve it.
Yeah.
If you try and do everything yourself and you don't surround yourself with the right people and you don't take feedback very well, like being able to take feedback and listen, and sometimes it's not easy to listen to feedback. Knowing what your vision is, knowing how to achieve it, and then surround yourself with the right people, you can start anything.
On feedback there, we had an episode with Adrian Ease down. His episode it's called That Bad Review. It's all about feedback. Very interesting episode. Anyone who's interested in that, I advise you to go check that out. But Adrian was talking about feedback, and we talked a lot about how to receive feedback and trying to discern between what feedback is valuable. So how do you discern whether feedback should be taken on board or not?
I think you've got two types of feedback. You've got external and you've got internal. So we give each other feedback every day. And if you're not willing to accept that feedback within the organisation, we're going to have a lot of problems. The one thing we preach is that feedback is valuable. It's not a personal attack, it's just feedback. You can accept to take it on board or accept not to. So it's really up to the discretion of the person receiving the feedback, whether you want to take it seriously or not. But you still have to acknowledge its existence.
Yes.
And the same with the external feedback. Being in the restaurant game, I have seen some very vindictive feedback towards my restaurant. I've seen some fantastic feedback, and I think you need to treat them all with that exists, and you need to respond to it, whether it's good or constructive, to gather more information. And like I said, whether you agree with it or not, it is there. And sometimes you might have to read between the lines and see what the core message is, or devour a bit more into it to get the core message. Because if you ignore all the constructive feedback, you might be missing an opportunity to really develop something.
Yes.
Yes.
And
That's
so
important.
I think there's no, and I said, being a restaurateur, I feel the frustration of some of the reviews out there and these review systems, but at the end of the day, they're there. They're always going to be there. So accept them and take them on board, and then decide from how you want to, but they are always going to be there. So you have to acknowledge their existence and being able to use it to make better decisions or to, I suppose, enhance your brand or what you're trying to do. But at the end of the day, it is just feedback. It's not a personal attack on you.
How do you tell what feedback is valuable and what feedback isn't?
I think all feedback is valuable. For example, we at the moment are doing a push all our members to give us as much feedback as possible, and we sort of encourage that feedback, but sort of target it to what we want, what we're trying to find out. If the feedback is genuine in a sense, it's not vindictive, there's a tonality of care factor, and not just trying to tell you that what you're doing is terrible. And I'm using very, very nice words here compared to some of the feedback that's out there, but I think, like I said, people want to express their opinions in any sort of review system, and I think it's a great thing that we allow them to express their opinions. I think it's up to the organisation or the person receiving the feedback to determine what they see value in that feedback. It's a very tough question to answer, what you determine what's valuable feedback.
That's why I like to ask questions.
Because to me, like I said, it's
Which one you take, which one you leave.
yeah.
Guys, I want to ask you, what is your biggest challenge right now?
Obviously, we are building a whole new brand, so we have to be very aware of what we want, certain things we want, and then it's also it need to reflect what we want from the industry. So that's one of the challenge. Obviously, technology wise, there are always challenges, but there are always ways to overcome these challenges. So I see that as an easy one to fix or to improve. One of the biggest challenges, obviously, placing that brand in the market and then getting people to accept and kind of use that. That's one of the challenges I think we're facing. What else are you facing?
2 kids under the age of 3.
Correct. Balance.
I've got 3 businesses. It is challenging.
It is challenging, isn't it?
It's tiring. It's long nights. It's the grind of it, but that's also the fun part, the exciting part. I suppose, just to react what Tipu said, we are starting a new business that has a very big dream, We are doing it on our own bat and with the help of this advisory group and people around us. And it's from the business point of view, it's a challenge to put a new innovative tech player into this world and educating the users to why it's important, why it's needed, financial challenges that you have in a startup. There's a lot of challenges facing us, both from a professional point of view and from personally too. Like, for example, for us to devour time, effort, money into this, and while at the same time still trying to maintain a family or a lifestyle, which is why we became entrepreneurs, I think, too. This is how it works. I love the word challenge because you can overcome a challenge.
Yes.
It's not a problem. So we embrace these challenges, whether it's late nights, you're tired, you've got 50,000 things going on, and then you celebrate the little wins. Mm-hmm. Like we said, we just had our 200th sign up a week ago, or a week and a half ago, and that was massive for us. Like, it was amazing to actually sit back and go, wow, we've done something. It's, it might not be in the grand scheme of things, but that's a challenge that we're trying to overcome, is onboarding. And when you get those little wins, embracing those is fantastic. So
200 people believed in us. So.
Yeah.
It's a start.
Good. Well, you believe in yourselves,
Exactly.
Obviously. Otherwise, other people wouldn't believe in you.
Yes.
There's a point there that you made that I'd like to connect between entrepreneurship and hospitality. One thing that I've really seen hospitality can teach, if we're willing to listen to it, is that there's an incredible work ethic in the industry. People just keep going. They are super, super persistent. And you need that in the startup world as well. You need that in the business world to survive, to continue, and then to thrive. You need to be willing to get your hands dirty and do it. And hospitality teaches you those things, among many others. I'm incredibly passionate about what hospitality teaches people about business. But that point that you made there, do you feel like hospitality gave you a lot of the skills that you've needed?
Oh, definitely. You just made a great point that hospitality teaches you a array of skill sets, from being able to grind it out, to work in a team environment, to be able to engage with strangers, to sell anything to anyone.
Yes.
That's what makes it amazing, though. The fact that you learn all these different skill sets and you learn it on the job and live. And the startup world is exactly the same. It's long hours. It's selling yourself, selling your product or your platform or your idea. Mm-hmm. You're meeting strangers who can make or break your business. So you really have to be able to engage with them. So I think, and this is again why it's such a great industry. We live by these values of having a positive, engaging, and a real sort of self-managed culture. Hospitality teaches you that. It teaches you accountability.
Yep.
And you learn that at such a young age too, which is fantastic. I speak to staff and to friends of mine who have worked in the industry and gone on and done other careers, whether it be in banking, finance, or marketing, or a doctor. The skill sets you learn, almost like street smarts, I'll probably call it the best way of describing it, that you learn hospitality is so valuable to their world now. It allows them to get ahead. For me personally, if I didn't have that experience, I told you about the knife story at the very start of the show. If I didn't go through all that, living overseas and working with some great people over there and knowing how to survive, I probably wouldn't be doing Clipboard hospitality. I probably wouldn't have started this. I probably wouldn't have been involved in it. And I'm fortunate that the motivation for me to keep going was around people telling me when you're going to get a real job. I'll flip it on those people. I'll flip on that, saying, I've been able to travel the world. I've been able to develop people around me. I've been able to consult to other businesses. I've been able to start my own business. I've been able to meet so many people. Don't sit there and try and tell us that this is not a fantastic and professional industry.
So ultimately, where do you guys want to be with Clipboard?
Good question.
And then personally, tell us personally, professionally, where do you want things to be?
Ultimately, we would like Clipboard to worldwide. So it's kind of like a connection that we want to establish with everyone, anywhere in the world. That's the aim. So it's starting in Australia, that's great, and then gradually globally we're hoping to take. Personally, it's a tough question. Obviously, like any startup, we want to see us successful.
What's success though? What is successful?
What is
Success to me is seeing the younger generation being able to choose hospitality as their career and not receive the same
Friction.
Friction.
Yeah. Because friction you can get past as well.
You can get past. Exactly right. So for I tell what T said before we want this on the global scale. We want to be the relevant voice, like from a business objective, if you want to call that. We want to be a relevant voice in this industry. We want to be the platform or the business that is surrounded by the hospitality community and embraces the community and uses the community to springboard this vision. And the success for me is being able to see a change in that. It's such a great thing to be a part of that we feel Clipboard, and the reason we started Clipboard was to really showcase this. And so success for me is, for Clipboard's point of view, is seeing this change and this evolution in our industry. Getting to know yourself and the first time we've met today and having this chat, that's already happening because of this platform. Mm-hmm. We reached out, we connected, and that's what this industry is about.
And I think the same thing because of starting the podcast. We wouldn't have connected if we both hadn't started these entities.
And I think that passion is there. I think it's this showcasing that passion and having more relevant voices in the industry because it is so fragmented and it is so transitional. And like I said to you earlier, it is an accelerated growth period. Something's got to bring that together. And I think we have an opportunity to do that by aligning ourselves with the specialists, the individuals and the community out there. And hopefully we can change the game. Our slogan is to change the game. And we want to change the game. So that's what success would be. Once we know we've done something to leave a bit of a legacy or even just to have that impact, I suppose. Yeah. Even if it's a small impact, that's still success.
I think that's what drives most people is ultimately leaving a legacy.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank you guys for being on the show today. It's been awesome having you. And let's change the game.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been great. Yeah, let's change the game. Cheers.
Stay in touch with the show after hours at Hospopreneurs on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Creativity and innovation in hospitality. The Hospopreneurs Podcast with James Henderson. Sound like tomorrow. Sweet as sound. What does tomorrow sound like? Let's show you.